So far in our project, we've created a little algorithm which, when we select the color, either RG and B, red, green, and blue, will appear inside our box. The next thing we're going to do is add some functionality to our button. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to close my code. I'm going to create a second view controller. So in order to do this, I go to my object library. Again, make sure you've got a view selected. Go to my object library. I'm going to look for view controller. This will give me a completely new screen. Okay, remember what I said before, if I click on my item and I go to my assistant editor, this will display the code which is available. I'm getting this code which looks like gibberish. This is because I don't have any code attached to this view controller. There's no code selected here. So I don't have any code available, so I need to create a new file. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to the menu, File, New File, and create a Cocoa Touch class. I'm going to call this, let's call it New View Controller, and it's of type UI View Controller, the same as our other view. Okay, I'm going to put that inside my project. So that has now appeared inside my project directory, and I can now link this to my view. New view control. So now when I go to my assistant editor, I'll be able to see my view controller. Okay, we're not going to use any of this code which is commented out, so I can remove that just so it's nice and clean for all of you following along. The first thing I'm going to do inside here is to create a global variable. So var box color equals UI color.red. So I'm just going to set it to default, and when this loads, I'm going to set the view.background color to equal my box color. Okay, so I've set a global variable. When this loads, when this main method is run, it's going to set the box color to red. Okay, now we need to create a segue between these two views. So we need to create a relationship between these two views. So when I do that, instead of dragging it directly from my button, I'm going to drag it from my view controller. Control and drag. I'm going to make this show. So these are the different ways that we can show our new view. You can make it slide or appear or whatever you like. From here, I'm going to give this an identifier. So I've now got a relationship between these two views. And I want to give this an identifier by selecting on the properties. I'm going to call this transition. Okay, going back to my original view controller, I'll move this across so I've got a little bit more room. Underneath my button press, I'm going to add some more functionality. So first of all, instead of having this print statement, I'm going to say when my button is pressed, I want to perform a segue with identifier. My identifier that I just set was transition, and the sender can be anything, so I'll just put nil. Okay, so that was what I set for the relationship between our two view controllers. So when my button presses, it's going to transition between. So let's run this and give it a test. So when I press my button, it will transition to that red view controller. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to transfer the color. I'm going to transfer some data between these view colors. I'm going to transfer the color that we select here. I want to appear onto this new view controller. So I'm going to create a new method. This is an overridden method because it already exists. Function. segue. Okay, so this will just allow us to create a new instance of the view controller that's going to appear. So whatever that destination view controller is, segue dot destination new view controller. So this gives me an instance of that new view controller that I've created. And then I'm going to find the property which I set in the other view controller. And I'm going to set that to my color that I've decided here. Okay, so I'm setting that to this color which gets determined from our algorithm. So now when it prepares for the segue, it's going to set the value of the other view controller before it even moves to that new color so that it'll appear. So let's give this a test now. So if I check it to this color, press load, our new color appears. The last thing that I'm going to do is add a navigation controller. So navigation controllers actually allow the flow of information throughout our application. So if I select my view controller, I simply need to go to Editor, embed in navigation controller. And what this will do is automatically add in a back button for me. So it knows that just because I'm going to one view, I may want to return back. So it adds in titles and back buttons just to make your navigation a little bit easier. So now when I run, choose my color, hit load, I now have a back button and a title if I wanted to add that in as well.